To celebrate the release of James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, Nando V Movies recently put out the call to honor some of villainy greatest moments, a best of the worst, if you will. He invited creators of all shapes and sizes, including any who have never made any videos for YouTube before, and something about that spoke out to me. So this will be my first actual YouTube video, and I didn't want to squander the moment. I knew everyone would be clamoring for their favorite big-name players in comics and animation, so I want to take a slightly different approach and examine one of my all-time favorite villains who often goes underappreciated. So join me on the wacky streets of Toontown as we take a look at the judge, jury, and executioner of Touchstone Pictures' Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Judge Doom. I'm Danger Dan Jers, and this is one villainous scene. Spoilers ahead.
Is this man removing evidence from the scene of a crime?
Doom is introduced in a short 3-minute scene in which we learn absolutely everything we need to know about the character. He demonstrates power and authority from the effect he has on the police investigators around him. His stiff and calculated demeanor is a very clear foil to Eddie's brash and emotional presence. Oh, by the way, pay attention to that joy buzzer. We'll be coming back to that. But first, let's get to the actual reason you clicked on this video.
What's that?
Remember how we always thought there wasn't a way to kill a tune? Well, Doom found a way. Turpentine, acetone, benzene. He calls it the dip.
I'll catch the rabbit, Mr. Valiant. Then I'll try him, convict him, and execute him.
Alright, now, I've become slightly desensitized to this scene over time, since I've had to watch it so many times for reasons. But after the first 6 or 7 times, when I finally stopped crying, I was able to really appreciate how horrifyingly clever this scene is. From the menacing close-ups on Judge Doom, to the red paint dripping down the glove like blood, to the fact that this scene spells out the big twist of the film in several subtle and distinct ways.
Holy smoke, he's a tomb! Surprise!
I know I was the first time I saw this scene, but it made perfect sense. And the pieces are all laid out in this opening scene. Every aspect of Doom's character telegraphs that something is off about him. His wardrobe, for example. It's a very heavy black suit and cloak, which looks out of place in sunny Los Angeles, and also serves to leave virtually no skin exposed. His glasses are very large, and they're reflective enough to hide the fact that he never blinks. And his hat also helps conceal even more of his face while being just absolutely iconic. Then, of course, there's the masterful performance by Christopher Lloyd, who gives him such stilted and artificial mannerisms so as to fall into uncanny territory, as if he's trying a little too hard to be human. His teeth are too white, his movements too sharp, and his speech pattern is too well controlled.
I'm surprised you're not more cooperative, Mr. Valiant. A human has been murdered by a tomb. Don't you appreciate the magnitude of that?
And hey, remember that joy buzzer? It's a cliche of cartoons that everyone knows about. A joy buzzer will electrocute a tune.
Put it in!
They always put their whole body into their reaction, lifting off the ground and convulsing. In real life, they don't quite work that way. It's surprising and uncomfortable, but not that exaggerated. This movie kinda has it both ways. Watch what happens when Eddie grabs the joy buzzer, compared to when Judge Doom grabs the joy buzzer. They both have an adverse reaction to it, but Doom's is noticeably more extreme, especially when you take into consideration the fact that he is wearing gloves. While Eddie is zapped, he is surprised and uncomfortable, but is mostly trying to wriggle away from the joy buzzer. Doom, on the other hand, is rooted in place and seems much more focused on trying to limit his movement, almost as though he is restraining himself from giving the reaction he instinctively wants to give. But this is of course a much more subtle tell than the one that comes immediately after it. Judge Doom's safety precautions when dealing with the dip. He puts on a large electrical glove over the gloves he is already wearing in order to execute the innocent shoe who did nothing wrong, and why are the police okay with him so gleefully and blatantly murdering something that was just trying to show affection and... sorry, back to the point. We do see this later echoed in the bar scene when the vat of dip gets knocked over and he scrambles away from it in a panic, but the first traces of it are laid out in this scene. It is also worth noting that while dip is deadly to Toons, there is a deleted scene from the movie that shows it is effectively harmless to humans. This scene was ultimately cut for pacing reasons, but traces of it still remain in the final cut, as this is the scene that immediately preceded the scene with Jessica in Eddie's office. As you can see, there's a lot to unpack with this scene, and that's not even getting into the introduction of the Toon Patrol Weasels, who, fun fact, were designed to be a villainous foil to the Seven Dwarves, and their names are Wheezy, Greasy, Stupid, Psycho, and Smartass, and are some of the more fun and charming aspects of this movie. But I've rambled enough as is, so now I'd like to hear some of your thoughts. Please leave a comment or two on how Judge Doom traumatized you as a child, and any thoughts you may have about this masterpiece of a movie. And hey, if you like this video, show some support. This is my first time really doing anything like this, so if this video does well enough, I might consider making more. In the meantime, thank you to Nando V Movies for setting up this challenge, and I encourage you to watch all the other videos in this playlist and show some appreciation for a few other evildoers. Once again, I'm Danger Dan Jers, and this has been One Villainous Scene. Thanks for watching.